This is Unit 10, Continuity Planning and Preparedness. This is John Rennie, your course instructor. The unit objectives for this week is to explain the benefits of resilience tiers, to identify risks posed by different hazards and describe the 5 steps to preparedness, and to compare and contrast 2 strategies proposed by IBM and the Louisiana Governor's Office. In order not to get behind in this class, you should have completed all the requirements for Units 1 through 9. This week you need to read Business Resilience, Providing Targeted Resilience Solutions for the Enterprise by IBM. You also need to read From Risk to Resiliency by the Louisiana Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness and the Stevenson Disaster Management Institute. You also need to participate in the discussion board, and you need to keep working on assignment number 2. IBM has gotten into the business of resilience. They are helping to make businesses more resilient. How do they define business resilience? Well, they look at business resilience as the ability to rapidly adapt and respond to business disruptions and to maintain business operations or continuous business operations, which helps businesses build trusted relationships and enable growth. They note that true business resilience starts with understanding exactly what your business needs are in order to survive unexpected events and plan ahead for sudden changes that could come at any time. Think of business resilience as the business's ticket to continued business service and operational continuity with proper planning, readiness, and the ability to respond quickly to any threat or opportunity. This is a short video that will show an overview of IBM's business resiliency services.
Technologies like cloud and mobile have made the business world more interconnected and more at risk than ever before. According to a recent study on IT risk, an outage of less than 20 minutes can cost an organization more than $1 million. And for a disruption of 7 or more hours, over $14.2 million in lost productivity, revenue, and damage to a business's reputation. IBM Resiliency Services can help you attack threats head-on with customized consulting and cloud-based technologies to keep your data, applications, server environments, and your business always on. After the acquisition of a sizable competitor, a leading broadband company needed to combine the IT operations of both companies with a cloud-based solution that would both improve data backup performance and ensure control of their infrastructure. IBM Resiliency Consultants worked with the broadband company to help them get started with an IBM cloud-managed backup resilience solution across their 4 data centers. The solution's cloud-based automation not only helped the broadband company reduce their total cost of ownership, it also made it easier to manage frequently changing industry regulation requirements. Using a combination of disk and tape-based backups, the solution greatly increased data availability, giving the organization plenty of room to grow. In addition, IBM Data Center Relocation Services delivered an efficient, phased equipment migration across the company's 4 data centers, reducing the need for and cost of new equipment. Using the IBM Cloud-Managed Backup Resilience solution, the broadband company benefited from improved protection, recovery, performance, and visibility, and added new capabilities to strengthen their service delivery. With interconnected technology introducing new threats every day, along with persistent risks such as human error, IT system failure, viruses, and weather events, it's not a question of will your business face an outage, but when. By proactively defending your business against the unexpected, you'll be in a stronger position to respond to market fluctuations, maintain customer service, ensure confidence from partners, and effectively protect your brand. With more than 50 years' experience in business continuity and resilience, plus innovative cloud services, full scale compute, data, and application resiliency and recovery solutions, IBM has the expertise and technology to help you proactively safeguard your data, productivity, and reputation, and to keep your business in business no matter what. To find out how IBM Resiliency Services can help keep your business always on, visit us online.
So the video from IBM helps us to understand that resilience can mean improved business, particularly when things go wrong, and the importance of resilience for the business community. They ask in their report, are you prepared? And under this heading, they ask simple questions like, have you recently experienced a disruption? What impact did it have on your operations? What risks pose the greatest threats to your continuous business operations? Are your business operations sufficiently scalable to accommodate a major increase in workload in response to a spike in demand for your services? So, for example, if you have a business that supplies water pumps and there's a major flood, can you handle the demand for increased water pumps? How does your current recovery capacity match your peak business processing volumes? Have you considered the resilience capabilities of your key business relationships and third-party providers? So if you get certain supplies from your third-party providers, can they keep up with your demands? What are the critical business services and assets that must be protected to reduce or eliminate irrevocable damage? In a nutshell, I think it's very important what this short little document that IBM puts out does in terms of business resilience. We often think in the planning and public administration fields that so much of preparedness, resilience, sustainability is the domain of the government sector and the government agencies. But in reality, the public sector and the private sector are very much interwoven. And what IBM is doing is they're going out trying to educate the private sector that this is something that's very important to their bottom line and potentially their survivability if a major event happens. And that event could be anything. It could be a natural disaster. It could be a terrorist event. It could be some sort of a cyber attack. So, how can they be prepared? And what they do is they put forward these 4 resilience tiers. They label them platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. On the platinum level, they say that business functions, if unavailable, will result in financial or legal penalties based on regulatory restrictions, typically assigned to the top 5 to 10% of applications that drive revenue and profits that are highly impact brand reputation. These need to be continuously available 99.999% of the time, basically having 0 planned outages, and the service level recoverability requirements, you need to return to service in less than 5 minutes for business activities that fall under the platinum level. The gold level is business functions that present a potentially broad impact across the internal organization. During critical processing windows, the business cannot afford to be without this function, and this is nearly continuous 99.99% of the time. And what they're saying here is that these are business functions that can basically be disrupted for up to about 4 hours of outage. and they basically need to return to service in pretty prompt, within 5 minutes at the local site, and at the data center within a couple of hours. The silver level business functions that support back office functions such as analysis and reporting, they should be highly available. They should be operational 99.9% of the time, and again up to 4 hours of planned outages, and return to service in less than a couple of hours in all events. And then the bronze are non-critical back-end business office functions. They are not as important necessarily. They should be available 99.5% of the time. But if they were down for 8 hours, that wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world at a local site. And then at a data center, they should be able to return to operational status within the time frame of days and weeks. This is obviously shorter time scales that you see in the public sector. A lot of outages in the public sector, you're talking about, for example, utilities or transportation systems, or even housing. The time scales are much, much longer. But you have to remember, on the business side, if companies are out of business for even short periods of time, they can really, really suffer and potentially go out of business. Now, it would be important to think about how we can take these concepts and apply them to the business of government. There are certain functions of government that need to be restored quicker. There are certain functions of government that will take time to restore. So, for example, certain physical assets that get damaged could take days and weeks and sometimes months to repair. But there are certain business functions like payrolls, for example, that need to be up and running within days. If you have, say, for example, a school district with thousands of teachers, and there's a major disaster, the teachers still need to be able to get their payroll, email systems, communication systems. There are so many things here that this could really apply to, both not just for the private sector but also for the public sector. They know a business-oriented analysis of outage tolerance and impact can help businesses enable quicker solution development. So if you think about what are the implications of outage, these are the things that you will contemplate, including protection for new development by integrating resilience tiers within development lifecycle, improving accuracy by instituting cross-validation of impact data, producing more reliable business case for seeking investments, creating awareness of business support for involving business stakeholders at all levels, and driving solutions by business need rather than by technological capability. Moving to the report from Risk to Resilience by the Louisiana Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness and the Stevenson Disaster Management Institute put this document together. We see here trying to understand hazard mitigation, determining risk. That includes identifying your assets, noting potential vulnerabilities, and identifying your threats. It's important to identify what hazards that are most prone for particular areas. Look at the assets that would be at risk under each of those different hazard risk scenarios, and looking at the potential impacts. The 11 major hazards that are noted for Louisiana here include flooding, hailstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms, storm surges, subsidence, And there are more, but I just wanted to point out that it's important, and every region and every state is going to have a different set of the major hazards, but sometimes it's not necessarily the hazards that you think are the ones that do the most damage. So, for example, September 11th, nobody ever expected September 11th would happen, but it was an unexpected disaster, but it had major implications. So it's important to think about the major hazards and how you would plan and prepare for them. But at the same time, doing that can help you also prepare for the unexpected disasters that you can't predict. The 5 steps to preparedness outlined in this report include program management, organizing, developing, communicating, distributing, practicing and administering preparedness programs, identifying federal, state, local regulations, define minimum requirements for your program. Then planning is the second step. This includes gathering information about hazards and risks, conducting business impact analysis, and examining ways to reduce impact of potential hazards and mitigate and reduce risks. The third step is implementation. This should be written up in a preparedness plan that includes resource management, emergency response plans, crisis communications plans, business continuity plans. That's what we were just talking about with IBM. Information technology plan, employer assistance and support, incident management and training. So a number of different categories that can in themselves have significant components within an overarching plan, or a set of plans that help with promoting the resilience. Testing and exercising is the fourth step. It's training, reinforcing, improving, evaluating, revealing, and complying, and gaining recognition. And then program improvement, identifying, discovering, and utilizing to make the changes in the plan improvements that are needed. Some of the factors for success for recovery include effective decision-making, coordination. That's so critical. It can't be understated how important that is. Integration of community recovery planning processes, well-managed recovery, proactive community engagement, public participation, well-administered financial acquisition, organizational flexibility, resilient rebuilding, implementation of mitigation strategies. All these are important, but some of them are just absolutely critical. And the coordination, decision making, proactive community engagement, public participation, all of these are just so critical to really having a successful recovery. There are a number of state, local, and federal programs to help with recovery. So one, for example, crisis counseling. FEMA implements crisis counseling assistance training program as a supplemental assistance program for presidentially declared major disaster areas. This program supports short-term interventions, improve counseling goals of assisting disaster survivors in understanding their current situation. There are so many different programs, and the report does go into a number of those. So I would really encourage you to make sure that you're just familiar with the different types of programs that exist, and so the parameters of those various programs. And then this checklist here is important. This document has lots of really useful tools like checklists and just useful information. This checklist looks at implementing business continuity plan, assume a significant role in local and state recovery, support employees by providing information on the recovery process, research available funding sources and types of funding and assistance, get business records in order, participate in community post-disaster recovery process. So in a nutshell, This week really looks at the whole idea of resilience and business continuity because at the end of the day, our society is really run by business decisions. And again, those decisions, those business processes, doesn't just have to mean it's in the private sector. Although, of course, most business takes place in the private sector, but the nonprofit sector is run as a business, and the public sector is run as a business. So these principles can help our agencies and our nonprofits, our different organizational structures, whether they be public or private or not for profit, they can help them become more effective in planning and preparing for a major disaster of any type of hazard, or it can help them recover quicker if one should occur. It can go from the basic sort of information using these checklists and these tools that are presented in the Louisiana Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness report that you've read, or it can be as complicated as hiring a sophisticated resilience consultant like a IBM employee who provides consulting services to medium and larger businesses to help get them more prepared, getting their data management in order, having cloud-based management of data, multiple sites where data is backed up. It can get obviously very complicated and expensive, but yet even for large companies that may be hiring IBM, spending, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars even may be a small investment for some long-term significant savings. Even think about organizations like Palm Beach Public School District or the Broward County Public School District or Miami-Dade County Public School District. These are governmental agencies that employ thousands of people. And if they were to hire a consultant like IBM to come in and make them more resilient, well, they could end up saving taxpayer dollars in the long run. And often what happens is they get into this, they do find opportunities to save money without necessarily having to have a disaster, so to speak. So just looking for more efficiencies in the way these organizations manage their data, their processes. So that is more or less the key points of this week. This is the end of the Unit 10 lecture. Thank you very much. And next unit is Unit 11, International Disaster Planning, Part 1. Thank you very much.